I am California of the past.
I am California of the past.
I
I am
am
California of the past.
Hello. My name is Dan Solo, and I'm here to talk about Neptune Beach. And they picked me because I'm one of the few people still living who can remember Neptune Beach. Actually, I went to Neptune Beach the first time in, I think, 1936, because I'm quite sure I was 8 years old, and that's when that would be. I suppose the last time I went to Neptune Beach as a place that was still operating, well, it must have been in 1939, because that's when it closed. And I went several times after 1939 during the demolition. My mother took me the first time, of that I'm quite sure. But we had a neighbor, Mr. Kranick, and he liked to swim, and so he would go quite often to Neptune Beach, and he would take me. I would hang out at the concessions, or I would hang around the swimming pool. I never did learn to swim. There were three pools. The one big pool was a saltwater pool, and one big pool was a freshwater pool. The freshwater pool had a big fountain in the middle of it. That was very impressive. The saltwater pool got its water from the bay. There was a pump down by the bay there, in the wreck of an old ship that was beached against the shore. And on the bay they had big concrete steps where a lot of older men hung out. Some of them were well-known names in the wrestling field. They had a lot of carnival rides at Neptune Beach. They had two roller coasters, and the big one I remember was called the Whoopie, and I was under strict orders from my mother never to go on that roller coaster. Too dangerous. It did look very steep, I'll say that. I don't remember the name of the other one, but I was permitted to go on that one. And then there was a small one, a very small one, a kiddie roller coaster. And of course at 8, I was far too old to go on that. They had a merry-go-round, they had a Ferris wheel. I did ride the merry-go-round more than once. They had some carnival concessions, and I remember one of them in particular. And I even remember the man's name. Doc Anson was his name. And what he had was what today you and I would call a wheel of fortune. He stood behind a counter, and you put a coin down on one of the numbers, and then he would spin the wheel and it would come to a stop, and if it stopped on your number, you won a prize. And the prizes, interestingly, reflected the Depression, because there were three big shelves of prizes, and one of the shelves was filled with canned goods. And canned goods wouldn't be a bad prize in those days. However, your chances of winning were very, very slim, because Doc Anson was able to control that wheel, keeping it from stopping on numbers that were already covered. How did he control it? Well, I have to tell you. My mother is a good con artist herself, and she talked to him one day about it, and she used the few carnival terms she knew, made it sound like she was with it from the carnival. Finally, he revealed to her, rather proudly I think, how his wheel worked. He said, "It's called a belly wheel. I push my belly up against this bar on the back of the counter, and that, through a series of levers going down under the floor and up the wheel, will control where I stop the wheel." There was another fellow there. He had a lot of prizes hanging from strings from the ceiling. All the strings came down into one bundle in his hand. You'd pay him the dime, you'd reach in and you would pull one of the strings, and whatever prize went up, that was your prize. Well, the real prize you wanted there was a beautiful, beautiful Chinese jacket. Lovely, lovely looking thing. It was green on the outside, red on the inside, and he would have the string for that one tucked up inside the bundle so that you wouldn't find it. My folks built me a little stage in the basement of our house, a little theater, but I needed lighting equipment, and they were tearing down Neptune Beach. So I went over there one day and I asked if I could take some of the lighting equipment, and they said, sure, go ahead, don't get hurt. And I did. I wish I had been interested in taking the signage, because there were a lot of very old-fashioned signs, some of them obviously going back to World War I. So that's it. That's about what I can tell you about Neptune Beach. I had a lot of fun there, enjoyed it very much.